Welcome to the Darkest Secrets, the channel where real horror comes to life. If you love true paranormal encounters, chilling mysteries, and terrifying stories that keep you awake at night, you're in the right place. Before we begin tonight's story, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a journey into the unknown. I never believed in ghost stories. They always sounded like things people made up just to scare children or pass the time on stormy nights. Even as a kid, when others whispered about haunted houses and cursed places, I would laugh it off. But sometimes, the things you laugh at come back for you. What I'm about to tell you is not a campfire tale. It is not an urban legend. It is something I lived through, and even now, years later, I wish to God I hadn't stepped foot into that place. Because once you walk into the wrong room, not every door will let you out again. This is the story of the night I stayed in room number 6. It was the summer of 2016. I had been traveling across India for work, constantly moving from one city to another. That week, my destination was Kolkata. My train was delayed for hours, and by the time it pulled into Howrah station, it was already midnight. Exhausted, sweaty, and carrying my laptop bag, I wanted only one thing, a bed. I didn't want to spend a fortune at a big hotel for just one night, so I asked a taxi driver if he knew a cheap place nearby. He grinned, showing beetle-stained teeth, and nodded. "Shanti Guesthouse," he said, "old but cheap, just 5 minutes." I should have questioned it. I should have listened to the unease that immediately stirred in my stomach, but exhaustion makes fools of us all. I agreed. The taxi stopped outside a narrow building squeezed between two shuttered shops. A flickering neon sign above the entrance spelled out the words Shanti Guesthouse. The glow was faint, buzzing, almost sickly. The driver unloaded my bag and drove away without looking back. That was my first warning. The lobby was dimly lit by a single yellow bulb that buzzed overhead. Behind the desk sat a thin old man, his skin grayish, his hair white, his eyes heavy with sleep. When I asked for a room, he didn't smile. He didn't even ask for my ID. He simply reached under the counter and pulled out a large brass key, heavy and cold, with the number 6 carved deeply into it. He slid it across the counter to me. I noticed something then. His hand trembled slightly as he pushed the key forward, and for just a second, his eyes flickered up to mine. There was something in them, hesitation, fear, maybe even pity. I waited for him to say something, maybe directions, maybe a warning, but he stayed silent. Clutching the key, I climbed the narrow staircase. The wooden steps groaned under my weight. The air smelled of mildew, damp wood, and something faintly metallic. The hallway stretched long and dark. The wallpaper peeled away in strips, revealing the cracked plaster underneath. My footsteps echoed as if the hallway were hollow. Finally, I found the number painted on the door, 6. The lock resisted as I turned the key, as though the door hadn't been opened in years. When it finally gave way, the hinges squealed in protest. The room was small but tidy, a single bed with crisp white sheets, a wooden chair, a dressing table with a cracked mirror leaning against the wall. And then the window. At first glance, it looked normal, but when I drew closer, I realized it wasn't a window at all. The frame was there, but instead of glass, it was filled in with a solid black surface. No reflection, no shine, just darkness. I tapped it. It was wood, painted completely black. A strange shiver crawled up my spine, but I told myself it was nothing. I was too tired to care. I dropped my bag, locked the door, and collapsed on the bed. I don't know what time I fell asleep, but I remember what woke me. Whispers. Soft, low, urgent. They seemed to seep from the corners of the room, overlapping one another like dozens of voices speaking at once. At first, I thought maybe it was people in the hallway, but when I sat up, I realized, no, the voices were inside. I turned on the lamp. The room looked empty. But then, my eyes drifted to the mirror. For a split second, I saw her. A woman, thin, pale, her hair hung loose around her face, her eyes were hollow sockets. She was standing right behind me in the reflection. My breath caught in my throat. I spun around. No one. The mirror was cracked, spiderwebbing across the glass as if something had just pressed against it. The whispers stopped. The silence was worse. I sat frozen until dawn. The next morning, I went downstairs with my bag, ready to ask for a different room. The old man at the desk looked at me with sunken eyes. When I placed the key on the counter and asked for a change, he didn't touch it. Instead, he whispered, "You should not have opened room 6. I asked him what he meant, but he only shook his head, his lips pressed tight. Finally, he leaned forward and said, barely audible, "Leave tonight, don't stay another night." I should have listened, but my meeting was that evening and I had nowhere else booked. Against my better judgment, I kept the room. I locked the door early and sat awake, determined not to sleep. Around 2:45 a.m., the air grew heavy, suffocating. My chest felt tight. The whispers began again, louder this time. I turned toward the black window. It was glowing. A faint, sickly white light leaked from its edges, as though something behind it was trying to break through. Then hands, pale, bony hands pressed against the black surface from the inside. Fingerprints spread across it like frost. The whispers grew into shrieks. I scrambled for the door, but when I reached it, it wasn't there. The wooden door I had locked was gone. In its place was a smooth wall, seamless, no handle, no exit. My heart thundered. I pounded the wall with my fists, screaming, but the plaster didn't crack. Behind me, the mirror shattered completely, spraying glass across the floor. The air turned icy. And in that moment, I understood. Room 6 didn't want me to leave. I don't know how long I sat there, trapped. Hours, maybe. Time meant nothing inside that room. The whispers circled me, some angry, some pleading. I thought I could feel them brushing against my skin. Finally, I collapsed against the wall where the door had been and shut my eyes. I whispered, voice trembling, "Please let me go, I'm sorry, I didn't know, please." The silence that followed was deafening. Then suddenly, I felt a cool draft across my face. I opened my eyes. The door was back. Shaking, barely able to breathe, I grabbed my bag and ran without even putting on my shoes. The next day, after my meeting, I gathered the courage to return. I wanted answers. But when I reached the street, my stomach dropped. The guest house was gone. Where Shanti Guest House had stood the night before was nothing but an empty lot overgrown with weeds. Broken bricks and rusted metal beams jutted from the ground. Confused, I asked a tea vendor nearby what had happened. He looked at me strangely. "That guest house, it burned down in 1984, he said. "Fire started in room number 6. A woman was trapped inside. She screamed all night, but no one could save her. They say she still haunts it." I told him I had stayed there just the night before. He laughed nervously, shook his head, and walked away. I left Kolkata the next day, but room 6 never left me. For weeks I dreamt of it, the black window, the hands pressing against the surface, the whispers. Even now, sometimes, late at night, when I close my eyes, I still hear them. Whispers calling my name. And sometimes, when I wake suddenly, gasping in the dark, I see pale fingerprints on the mirror across my room. They fade within seconds. But I know she's waiting. I know room 6 isn't done with me. And maybe one day, when I open the wrong door again, it won't let me out. Thank you for listening to The Darkest Secrets. If this story gave you chills, show your support by hitting the like button, subscribing to our channel, and turning on the notification bell so you're the first to know when we share more terrifying true encounters. Remember, some doors should never be opened, but here we open them all.